Okay, so welcome again to the third PICO Science Communication Workshop. The goals of today's meeting are the following. We wish to present to all some highlights from our latest Researchers' Night activities. And after that, we would like to reflect on everyone's practice on the experiences they had throughout this event and the previous one. Furthermore, what we wish to do is to identify your needs and to get your feedback for future events. So the presentation will be very brief, and I will apologize in advance to all countries and all participants if I don't do justice to your activities, because I wanted to take a very brief capture, let's say, of the events. So in the workshop, we will start with a brief presentation. We will have a discussion on the shared feedback, and we will discuss the guidelines, let's say, and your feedback for the future. So to put it a bit into perspective, the PICO project has a core theme based on bringing cutting-edge physics and astrophysics, their application, as well as other topics, including environmental science, climate science, natural disasters, and so on, to the public. In this framework, the project organized two Researchers' Night activities, one in 2024 and one in 2025, in four countries, in Greece, Italy, France, and Spain, and it was organized in diverse settings, from universities to science centers, research centers, schools, observatories, as well as public squares, libraries, and so on. Now, the activities organized in each country were localized based on the expertise, the needs, and also the science communication traditions of each participating country. Now, our activities had also a strong both virtual and in situ component. So, let me start. Let me start with this actually, and apologies for that. So, activities in Greece. The first site in which we organized the Researchers' Night activities was in Thessaloniki. Now, in Thessaloniki, the activities were organized in the Noesi Science Center and Technology Museum in Thessaloniki, and they had a central keynote presentation by the EPS president, Professor Meris Sakellariadou, as well as a multitude of interactive science stations. With activities ranging from hands-on experiments to interactive exhibitions, science demonstrators, games and quizzes, and so on. You can see some highlights here from these activities, the workshops, the exhibits, and so on. Okay. In Athens, now moving there, we had the activities from the National Observatory of Athens, which were done in three sites, one in Theseo, one in Pendeli, and one in Stephani in Corinth. And the activities had a very vast palette, let's say, of topics which were discussed, principal among which was astronomy, as well as climate science, seismology, natural disasters, and so on. So the activities organized there were workshops, scientific demonstrators, public talks and interactive activities, as well as observation activities. And you can see some highlights here from Theseo and Pendeli in Athens, as well as Stephani in Corinth. In the premises of Ελληνογερμανική Αγωγή in Tallinn, the activities there were organized in the premises of the school itself and had a theme of taking people from the very small to the very big. So again, we have the interactive demonstrations, experiments, activities presented by students, as well as observation nights in the observatory or planetarium shows. You can see, for example, some highlights here as well. Moving from Greece to Italy, we had activities there in various cities. First of all, in Cassina and Pisa, in the premises of the European Gravitational Observatory, where we had people visiting the interferometer and organizing workshops there, as well as many big events. For example, Women at Frontier of Knowledge in Pisa, guided visits to labs of INFN, public debates, or outreach talks and engagement activities. You can see here from the European Gravitational Observatory, as well as highlights from other events. Beyond Pisa and Cassina, activities in Italy were spread over three more cities, Milan, Rome, and L'Aquila. And there, the activities spanned from science and art, let's say, events. For example, the Hidden Music of the Universe activity in Milan, to interactive exhibitions such as the tour of the Big Bang machine in Rome, as well as activities, outreach activities for the public. And you can see here different types of engagement activities organized there. Here you can see the Big Bang machine next to the Colosseum in Rome. In France, the activities were hosted in the historic Grand Moulin building at the Université Paris-Cité, and the activities were built around the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the first detection of gravitational waves. So the library of the university hosted three different types of activities. They had booths with interactive stands, where they had planetarium observations, and they had talks for the general public. You can see also here some highlight photos. Finally, in Spain, the activities were organized by the Institut de Física de Altas Energías at several venues in Barcelona, and they had activities building art and science. They had workshops for schools and for everyone, Quantum Universe for Everyone, for example, held in the Universitat Autónoma de Barcelona campus. So you can still here see some photos from the art and science events, as well as from the workshops at the campus. Overall, PICO as a project focuses not only on the individual activities, but also wants to highlight the common theme. And to this end, a joint remote visit to the Virgo gravitational wave detector was organized for students and general public, as well as joint observational nights, astronomical observation nights, and solar observation activities. You can see some highlights and everything here was streamed on YouTube with high success. So, as an overview, the events that were organized this year and the past one engaged more than 38,000 people, both in situ and virtually. The feedback was very, very positive, with children and adults being enthusiastic, and the interactivity being a winner, so to say, meaning that especially hands-on activities, labs, as well as astronomical observations and so on, were very successful in engaging the audience very well. Overall, we had the feeling that the participants of all ages found the presentations and activities easy to understand, and they had numerous opportunities to interact with researchers like yourselves. So by ending this short introduction, I would like to pass the baton, let's say, to you, and ask you to tell us a few words about what you did and how did you perceive the activities? How did they work? Were they successful? Were they not? What should be done differently? So I think that I would give the floor to everyone to start a bit this interaction. Who would like to say something?
Well,
Sebastian? Yeah. Yes, Professor Serioulas.
no,
Yes.
no, please, Sebastian, please.
No, I just wanted to say thank you to Manolis for the introduction. plenty of activities out there, and well, I reflected a bit on what was done and what could be improved in the form you shared with us. I don't know if you have the results of that.
Yes, 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 of course. And I will show them in a bit to help our discussion a little bit more. Yes. I can share if you want. Let me share my screen again. And I will directly take you there. One moment, please. But until then, if you would like to say something, Sebastian, I mean about your experience overall, it would be great.
Yes, it was. We had the objective to be as inclusive as possible. So there was a big effort in trying to find ways of sharing our practice in the most general way possible. And I think we succeeded in most of the cases, but mostly we were able to think about our our work, our research in a different way. I think that the preparation phase was really important for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Would someone else like to say something? I mean, about their experience, about how things worked for them? This is an open.
I would
Yes, please.
I would like to add to it. So for me, it is the second year of Researchers' Night. So I would say that overall, it was both years a great experience, and I have like common things among these two events that students, people of all ages liked the interaction, liked to learn new things. But I think that what hit me more this year was that a lot of people were surprised by the things that were being displayed there. So they didn't know that in the universities that there is like teams, there are like research teams, centers, facilities, everything that does these things. And I think this is very important to show to the people of the community that universities are a core of science and that we are here, we do research, we um, share knowledge to the community to help improve stuff. Either is things about the environment, either there's things about telecommunications and stuff like that. So I think for me it was parents mostly coming and say, "Oh my God, we didn't know that this was happening in the university. Oh, you do that? Oh, can we come and visit, for example, the observatory and tell us more about that things?" So I think that was for this year, that was what stayed with me mostly.
Thank you, Evie. Would someone else like to say something? Someone from Italy or from the other sides, maybe? France?
I think that from Italy, the only person connected, as far as I can see, and you already presented all the activities that we have done. For us, the main effort was to coordinate different sites, different cities, big cities, small cities with different events. It was not easy because during the night, all the researchers were busy with different activities. Both at PICO premises and in the other cities. But I think this year we managed well, or at least better than last year. So it was we had a good success with all the different activities, and as usual, to us it's very nice when we manage to include especially kids, and schools and families, because this way we contribute to the next generation curiosity for science. So it was great, and we also very much appreciated the joint event that we managed to have here at PICO with Julia. It was a way to show, the facility from inside. So I think that's all from our side.
So I would also like to add the following, that I feel very, very grateful for everyone who participated in these events, and both the researchers that are involved officially in the PICO project, but also I'm very, very grateful to all the students at different levels who came as volunteers, especially for the European Researchers' Night, because their contribution and their help was very critical in being able to organize it successfully and being able to handle such a large number of people who attended the event. And I have the feeling, by seeing how their enthusiasm and how happy everyone seemed, even though there were for so many hours present, still in the end everyone was smiling. And I think it was a win-win situation, that both the public had a lot to gain from that experience, but also the students who volunteered. I think it must have been a very positive experience for them and for their development as researchers or any other professional development. So thank you very much. This is an opportunity, since many are here today, to really thank all the volunteers.
Thank you, Nick. We have Dimitra and Julia have raised their hands. Dimitra, would you like to?
Yes, again. Thank you, Manolis, for the organization of this workshop. Actually, I was involved I'm from NOAA. I have participated in many researchers' night before, because it was not the first project I participated. I just want to say, to thank all the researchers of NOAA that were involved in this, in the researchers' night event. They were from all topics and all research topics conducted at NOAA, and people were very interested not only in physics, astrophysics, or sky observations, or astronomy, but they were very much interested also in environmental issues. I was very much surprised, because during the talk about the quality of our atmosphere and what we breathe, actually it took place in outdoors. It was very cold, but nobody was moving. Everybody was there to see, to attend the talk, and then they had a lot of questions about the air quality. And also other topics like the earthquakes, tsunami, climate change. So we had a lot of topics, a lot of researchers. I want to thank all of them. And since I was at Thesion, trying to get feedback from questioners from participants, this was a very hard task. I had to persuade them to do it. And also, just because we are in the historical center near the Acropolis, we had a lot of tourists which said, what happens here? And of course, they were informed, they expressed much interest, not only Greek people, but also tourists, visitors of NOAA, and they participated with enthusiasm in all the activities. They reacted with researchers, This was a very nice moment, nice experience. And I just wanted to say I had the opportunity through PICO to meet interesting people and interact with the researchers in other countries and in other topics than mine. And I'm very happy about that. That's all.
Thank you, Dimitra. Thank you, Dimitra. Julia?
Yes, so my colleagues are not here today, but we discussed a lot before and after the event. So wait, let me ecco. Okay. I wanted to say a few things. So I think I agree with what Sebastian said, that the second year compared to the first one, we really prepared much more in advance, because you guys know that PICO started a bit late. So the first year it was a bit of a rush to organize, and then building on that experience, we already started planning everything like way in advance, and that really helped. It helped, I mean, not just the outcome, but just the way our researchers were coming into this. Everybody knew exactly what they needed to do. Everybody was very comfortable. So that really helped. Also, I also want, they're not here, but it's really a shout out to them, because we had a lot of participation, which I wasn't expecting. We had a huge team, mainly, but not only, mainly PhD students. And I mean, one thing that we had said in our meetings is that one outcome of the first night was that whenever you have like a booth or an activity, you need at least two people there, because if you want to keep a little bit of a rhythm, imagine you have an activity that goes on for 15 minutes, and we shared this. I found it very interesting that one person would take care of keeping on like the activity, not letting it like drag, and the other person would be always available to discuss with people that want to like go more in depth. And so we really took care that we had at least two people for each activity, and I think that really helped. And I was very happy with my team, because I built it so that they could have slots, like they could have stayed like 1 hour each, you know what I mean, and then turn with somebody else, and everybody stayed for the whole night. So that was very nice. Another good point, I think there are a few. So one thing we really, really took care of or focused on is having the most diverse team that we could afford, whether in gender, in age, in origin, in the sense that there were people speaking different languages just in case. So obviously the base was French, but I think it was really nice for people coming to have different nationalities. And we really mixed it up between more experienced, like senior researchers, and younger ones, because this wasn't exactly coming from a direct feedback from PICO, but from other projects, especially with younger people. In a way, like more senior staff tends to have like an assurance given by experience, right, in the way they present stuff, and people feel very reassured by the way that seniors like present their things. They've done it for a long time. And then the younger ones, first of all, are more like energetic sometimes, and also they can really how can I say, like they can really relate to the younger audience. So I think both of these elements were really useful. Something we corrected is that on the first year, because we stressed out a bit, to be honest, we didn't have this walk-in possibility that you guys probably all had on the first year, and so we implemented it as well. So the part that Manali said, the part with the booths and all, you could just simply walk in, stay whatever time you wanted. And then the other parts, like the planetarium and the talks, obviously no, like there had slots, and you had to register. And I really like this kind of hybrid format. Maybe one downside on our side, which is not shared by every partner, is that And I still haven't figured that one out. We do have a bit of a hard time to attract huge numbers, like a lot of public. And I don't know if it's because like we are inside of Paris, but we are slightly on the outskirts, like we're not really central, or if it's the schedule. I don't know. That is the one kind of critical point that we haven't still completely figured out. But the people that were there were incredibly happy and maybe surprised that like all of these scientists would be just there to talk with them. That's something that the others said, and I think it's very true. So people wouldn't expect that you just stay there like for 10 minutes talking to them and just giving them all the time that they want. That was, I think that we had very good feedbacks on that part. That's all.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you very much. George? Yes?
Yes, so I would also like to say something about my experience of the Researchers' Nights for both years. So I think that the important thing was to engage people, right? I mean, the main idea was not to have something passive. Let's say people come, we tell them what we want to tell them, and they just go home and little sticks with them. So the interaction was really important, and I think we managed to do that very well in general. And also, the main, let's say, target group that we wanted to really interact with was the younger ages, young children. And this is difficult to do. And the way that we tried to do it was with having the kids engage with whatever you were trying to show them. So other people used games to do that. For example, we had these gravitational lensing analogs, which had these fancy visual cues for the kids, and they could sort of engage with it. I doubt they understood many things about the actual effect that they were supposed to be seeing, but the fact that they would play around and see bright lights and play with that was important in a sense. So that was a really important thing to manage, to have kids engage with the whole experience. The other really important thing, I think, was the fact that it was an excellent training for the graduate students and the PhD students and all the people that participated. It was an excellent training in public outreach, which is also very important. So it's the two sides of the thing. On the one hand, the engagement of the public, on the other hand, how you make people be able to engage with the public more efficiently. And I think we did there on that side as well. We did very well in general. So overall, it was a really positive experience for both years.
Bruce, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this, and you give me a nice pass, let's say, to show these findings that we have from the Google form here, in which everyone was asked, what do you consider as the most important outcome for a visitor in a Researchers' Night event? And the majority answered that it is to increase their interest in science, and raise awareness, obviously. So from there, I would like to ask the facilitators, the students, the researchers, the project managers themselves that were there in situ and doing the work, what were your views? What was your opinion? How did you perceive the engagement with the public? Don't be shy, please. Maybe if you would like, there was something very interesting here in the findings, which said that although the majority of people, usually use posters and slides, in our case, we had interactive activities that were organized in all booths. So if you could say a few words about that, it would be very helpful. Volunteer, please.
Well, I'm honest, I don't know how to answer because in our case, at least where I was involved most, it was like more, frontal. So we had the students, but it was interactive because activities at schools were not only about what we do from a scientific point of view, but also how to become a scientist, no? So we had a lot of discussion with kids about what to study, where, and so on. And also, it could be that interactive activities can be also the activities done in Rome, where we had the Big Bang machine. So in that case, it was really non-traditional because there were not poster and slides, but movies and interaction with the facility per se that was the Big Bang machine. So I think that in part that this can be considered interactive activities.
Thank you, Francesca. In your case, also you had a visit, I think, to Virgo. So this is another dimension. You had a very large-scale research facility, which allowed people to visit.
Yeah, exactly.
By George, by. Okay. Do we have any PhD students or undergrad students who would like to share their experience? I think we all agree that interactivity was a key, let's say, here.
I can add something, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So for me, because I was mostly running around to check everything, I didn't have much time to interact in science level a lot. But at the end of the event, I had the chance to talk with a bit of parents and kids. And what I understood was that so when you start telling a story, as much as imagination kids have, you cannot gain their attention without having either interactive activity or a visual. So when I was starting talking about gravitational waves, as simple as possible to be understood, I saw the attention of parents being there, but the attention of kids being drifting apart. So then we had stickers that represent gravitational wave events. So then I started talking to the kids with the stickers, and that's when they started gaining their attention, looking at some visuals and having a picture of something that they have no clue what it is, and started making a story that it's closer to them, like, oh, look, it looks like a banana or something like that. So I think aside from the fact that you have to have interactive stuff, experiments, which was the top, I would say, from every science team that there was there, is also very important if you don't have this to have some visuals. So either pictures or videos that shows what you're doing or what you're trying to describe. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, please. Alexandra, yes, please.
I want to comment on what Evie said, and I think that the visuals are actually very important also for the parents because in most of the times there were parents that they were seeing that we were talking about gravitational waves and they thought, okay, that would be difficult, so I will look for something else. So we needed basically to have something to make them feel interested in what we have to say in order to come so that the kids would also see something. So I think that visuals are important in any case, even if we're talking about adults, not only for kids.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it is also for the adults. And let me add something that it's also for us, because when you are there at a booth for 4 or 5 hours and you have to repeat the same story time and again, your energy declines over time. So therefore, you will need as much assistance as you can in order to cope. That's my 2 pennies on this one. There was Ioanna who said that people were really keen to interact and ask questions, and not only about the specific topic. And this is really important because it showed their interest to understand how science works even further. So, yes, thank you, Ioanna. I totally agree with you on that. Was there someone here who didn't have an interactive booth? And I would be very interested to learn how visitors responded to that. So I guess we were all very interactive in our approach. Huh? Yes.
We basically didn't have something very interactive. We only had a simulation of match filtering. So you could say that we didn't have an experiment. So people were just saying to screens, and they didn't know that we had something interactive until we talked with them. So yes, that was partly a reason why maybe parents were like, okay, there's nothing there to say. Let's go to something that has an experiment so that the kids can see something. So yes, that was a little bit difficult at first, but after the first people come, when other parents see that there are people there and they are talking to you, they feel that like there is something interesting in there. So I think it has to do with psychology in that type of stuff. If you don't have something to show, then you basically need again the visuals, and then you basically need at least one person to talk to you, and then others will come.
This was very well phrased. Thank you. We have yes, Konstantinos, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
First of all, I would like to express it was very nice as participating second year on behalf of Laboratory of Atmospheric Physics in Aristotle University in the physics department. I would like to add my experience we had during this event. And it was very nice because we had a lot of interaction with teachers and families. And especially, I would like to highlight the interaction and discussions we had with teachers from schools, and how we could implement all this nice material we saw during the events on schools. And I think that was very nice to discuss how we can integrate this material from astronomy and physics. It was very nice during interactive case studies from our side for atmospheric events. Students had the opportunity to use online platform for fire events, dust transport for Sahara, for example. And this is just a comment from my side. And I think it was very nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing this. I also have a message from Disa saying that she was assisting with the virtual tour, and she observed that people were very interested in the experience and wanted to learn about engineering aspects too. Disa, I would like to ask, was this mostly adults or kids that asked for this feedback?
They were mostly, I think, young students who had joined from high schools, I suppose, and maybe many of them had inspirations to go in engineering streams. Also, I noticed that in terms of data analytics, maybe some of them are interested in machine learning or AI. So they were also asking on that, on those lines, to Julia, that, okay, once you have the data, are you using a lot of AI? Are you using a lot of computation centers and so on? So I think they were trying to correlate how these scientific advancements also can reflect in other aspects in terms of maybe occupation and jobs and so on, because in at Virgo we are always showcasing the contributions not just from scientists but also from engineers. So I think a lot of young students mainly, and of course some parents, maybe because they wanted to encourage their kids to learn more about such aspects.
Thank you. May I say something on that? We have organized many exhibitions also on gravitational waves and astronomy in general. And in the observatory that we run at EA, what we have observed is that students love seeing through the telescope, while parents love discussing about astronomy. So we have, let's say, some sort of differentiation on that. Usually we need to have one person guiding the students in their observations and another person discussing with the parents, because they are more interested in the background, in the knowledge, not in doing hands-on themselves. I don't know if you have observed something like that.
You mean the construction aspects of the site from the
Yes,
parents at least?
Yes, I mean in general, we have an observatory in our premises, so we have a big telescope there, and we use it to do activities, outreach activities for schools, and we did that in the researchers' night a lot. It was very successful, and what we observed there was that students wanted to look at Saturn, for example. We had Saturn that day, but parents wanted to learn more about Saturn itself rather than was. They looked once, they said it was great, but they wanted to learn. So it was a bit of a different behavior, I think. I don't know if you observed something like that in your sites.
Yeah, it depends, because I think it also depends on the target group. We are having these very dedicated tours depending on the age group, the different demographics of people in the locality and so on. So yeah, we may have different feedback based on different people, because some of the tours I imagine are also encouraged by schools and high schools to show that what you can do if you learn science and then aspire to be a scientist or engineers working for such research topics and so on. So maybe with that mindset, they arrive at the site with a specific motivation to ask for questions and so on. It depends. Yeah.
Thank you. What about the other participants? I mean, did you see any difference between different target groups? I mean, did you find difficulty in engaging both parents and students, for example? Did you use the same tactics, so to say?
In my case, the experience was online, where we were taking the camera in different parts of the Virgo observatory, where Julia was showing different components of the interferometer. So most of the questions were coming online, and we could know maybe in some aspects it was difficult to actually see if it is if it was a parent or a young kid asking the questions. Maybe when we have actual trips to the site in person, which we open every Tuesday. Maybe Francesca can chip in more about this. I usually don't participate in them because they are mostly in Italian. But yeah, we have a dedicated communications team who handles those things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, would anyone else like to comment on that? If not, we could go to the next part, which refers actually to you, to the added value to you. If we don't have any comments or contribution, let me skip and go to a very interesting graph that we have, and the question we had asked back then, and we will ask again, hopefully discuss, was if the PICO Researchers Night activities had an added value to you as researchers, as students, as professionals. So what would you answer to that? What is your view on that? A volunteer?
It would be interesting to know about the person or maybe more than one that scored one.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Alexandra, what do you say?
Well, I think that something that it actually never occurred to me for some reason is that, okay, we are doing research, but sometimes because there are also responsibilities that comes with doing research. Maybe sometimes you lose the spark, but when you talk with people and you say how interested they are and how enthusiastic they look about science, then you basically remember why you love doing research. So it's inspiring talking with people.
So it is the reward, let's say, the psychological reward of seeing the reaction, right?
It's partly that, and partly you feel inspired doing again research after that. And maybe some questions might actually help with proceeding with your research. Maybe. It depends because they think out of the box. Sometimes we are driven by what we learn inside the university and how to work, and sometimes maybe one question might trigger something that weren't triggered before. So
This is very, very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you. Julia, please.
Yeah, so I actually completely agree with what Alexandra just said. I wanted to uh, like stress this because I find so after the night is over, it's a bit late. People should be tired, but actually they're usually very energized. I'm talking about the scientists, of course, especially young people. And I've seen this over and over again that it's kind of because you're forced to get out of your subject, especially when you're a PhD student, right? You focus on like hard on your topic, and it might happen that you get frustrated and lose a bit like the bigger picture, which doesn't happen so much when you're more senior because usually you have more like management like responsibility, so you have to have like a general overview. But when you're at the beginning, you focus on your work very much. And then sometimes you get lost in it and you don't even know what, like, it's not that you forget why you love it so much, but it's really helpful. I've seen this happening like every time. Then it forces you, like outreach forces you to take a step back. First of all, put everything in place, know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and it's really motivating usually.
Thank you, Julia. To me, if I may say so, it is always rewarding, first of all, professionally, because as Rutherford said, if you can't explain your science to a layman, then you don't know it. So it's very important for us to be able to explain things in simple terms. But doing things simple doesn't mean that it is easy for us. I think that from my experience in these years that researchers like you are very enthusiastic in communicating the research. And usually, however, they are too focused on their work and they don't have that much of an opportunity to do outreach. Is that correct? Do you agree on that? I mean, for those of you who are practicing researchers, do you have many opportunities to do outreach? How is your outreach, let's say, portfolio in that sense?
I think it's not a fair question. We are all in PICO project. We are doing outreach anyway.
I mean, before PICO, you didn't do outreach.
Um, I wouldn't say so. Not not that much. I think maybe one or two times there were some events that we were talking with people, but they were mostly university students, so I wouldn't say that it is exactly the same. It's not exactly outreach.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Thank you very much for that. Would someone else like to say something? Maybe someone from Thessaloniki, maybe?
I could add to it if no one else wants to say something right now. So for me, one of the things that happened during PICO events or the researchers' night or in general the public outreach, it is students or students of high school or students of the university that approaches me and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing with what? Like with what are you associated?" And I'm saying, "Okay, astrophysics, astronomy, specifically gravitational waves." And they get inspired and what they wanna hear is like, "Oh, how did you end up there? Like what was your steps? Like, oh, I'm now at my last year of high school. I'm very anxious. I want to go to physics school, but I don't think I can make it. I don't think I can do what you did." And I was like, no way. First of all, it is very nice to see people getting inspired, but and try to inspire them, but also you feel like an imposter syndrome. Why are they looking up to me like that? Uh, but it is very nice when there's been many times that I exchanged contact with these people and that they were texting me and saying, "Oh, like this talk that we had really inspired me and helped me go through, I don't know, my self-doubt, or now I gave the exams, I am coming to physics school," or this kind of stuff. So I think it's rewarding to share the knowledge, but at the same time, it's rewarding to contact people and be connected with them in a more personal level in a way and inspire them, or you get inspired at the same time through these more personal conversations. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Evie.
Um,
Someone else? Yes, please.
No,
Yes,
I
please.
actually have a question for the younger ones. Um, does this kind of events, especially when they involve maybe both senior and junior researchers, does it also give you the opportunity, actually, of two things, of kind of breaking the hierarchical set with your supervisors or professors or whatever? And also, does it ever give you a different point of view on your senior researchers? Seeing them talking to people, seeing them involved, like their passion. Does it also change something in the eyes of the younger ones? I would be curious to know.
From yes, Evie, please. You wanted to say?
Yes. So for me, it did, especially when I was an undergraduate student and I was helping with conferences, with organizing conferences where there were PhD postdoc students in the group, and then I had to contact with them, and I was like very nervous. But then in the end, what I saw, and what they showed me is like they are humans like me. We are like in the same group, same physics interest, and aside from that, that we are all humans. We are doing our job, and for sure it helps. It helps breaking the barrier where you see someone as a PhD student, and you feel like, of course, respect has to be among every member, despite what their status is. But yes, I would say that going through events, also like open nights, the observatory, stuff like that, it helps see the people as humans, and we are all do what we love, so we are here for that in a way. So for me personally, yes, it helped being engaged in any kind of activity, either conferences, either outreach with people, and it helps see it more as a human level rather than hierarchical level. That's it.
If I may say something on this one, I think that a major obstacle to involve researchers in activities such as the Researchers' Night comes from the lack of impact to their career as the professional standards are set right now. I think that most of senior researchers face that problem, meaning that it doesn't count anywhere while it should. Therefore, we all know that people doing research are overworked, they have multiple deadlines, multitude of obligations, and therefore they allocate time for science communication and outreach only due to their goodwill, let's say, and their personal interest. And I think that this is an obstacle that research outreach mostly faces. Do you agree on that assessment?
So sorry, I would like to hear from everybody else, but to add to what you're saying, which I agree upon like 100%, it translates into one more thing, which is participation, especially of younger people, critically depends on what their boss says. Okay, like the head of the group. So we have a few that are incredibly engaged in outreach because they like it, because they really believe in it, and then they are the first when an opportunity comes to tell their younger, like, go on, do this, not as an obligation, but as a free pass. Like, if you want to invest time in this, it's really very important, so do it. And that is very important because, as you said, we cannot really, I don't know, I have to say, it's not very, yeah, recognized. It doesn't add necessarily to your career. And so, yeah, younger people participate if the more senior tell them to, and they don't if not.
I agree. Alexandra, you said something very, very interesting. You say, what about advertisement? So how do you mean it?
I mean that when you do public outreach, you also basically advertise your work and maybe your group. And that is good not only because you show your work to people, but then later on you might be able to get other programs and money because you basically show your work. So there are things. It's not only about the goodwill. However, if you actually see if there is a balance, I don't know if the pros are more than the fact that you need to actually give your time there and you have multiple deadlines, as you mentioned before. But there are some pros regarding the career. It's not only about wanting to share with people.
I would agree. I would agree on that. When I was a student many years ago, the first professor that I was working with, some of the physicists in Greece might be familiar with him. When I told him, we can do this and that in terms of communication, he said, I am bored. I don't want to do that. I want to measure nature. That was his answer. Yeah. So this is an approach. There is another approach of people who say, I'm really interested in communicating this because I love sharing my research. So I don't think there is a formula here, but definitely having, not having a sort of credit for researchers doing outreach, which will be important in the advancement of their careers, might be something crucial to discuss, don't you think?
Yes, I agree with everything you said. I think there is not one clear answer, but there are different ways to see it.
What about those of us here who are students right now? I mean, do you believe that it would be important somehow science communication to be incorporated within your education and within, let's say, your professional development? If there was a way to do that, would it be important to you? Evie says yes as a selective. Yes, I agree. I mean, for example, you are to get a position, let's say. If the position asks that you have some experience in science communication, would that be important for you? A research position.
How do you exactly mean that question? What do you mean?
It goes two ways. The first one would be if students would believe that training in science communication at the university as a selective course, for example, if it would be important to them. This is the first question. And the second question goes mostly to more senior researchers in our group here, asking that if they believe that science communication should be a criterion for their professional advancement beyond the science that they do. Does this help? Yes, Alexandra, please.
Okay, now regarding the extra lesson, basically, an extra subject. The thing is, there is basically something similar to that, at least to our university. And I think every university in Greece now, because in order to be able to teach, you need to take some extra lessons so that you can teach. You can't teach if you don't take extra lessons now, after a year and later on. So we need to take those subjects. And the thing is that at the beginning, you think that those subjects are actually taking your time. You think that they are not that worthy because you're feeling like, okay, I could take something that it is related to what I want to do, which is astrophysics, for example. So why take that specific subject? But you actually learn a lot, and I think that the lessons you take there are actually very useful to communicate science as well because you learn how to teach, and it's basically what you're doing. You are trying to communicate some information to students, so it's very close. But I think that for some reason we have made it to be something boring and something that it's not important and not useful. I don't know why is that, but it is true. You feel like if you are a researcher, you need to do research. Why actually care about communicating science?
Thank you, Alexandra. We have Julia, Dimitra. Let's start with
Yes,
Julia.
I just wanted to say that I agree with everything you guys are saying. And this is not the place where we will change science, the culture of science. But the thing is that there is a substantial mismatch between the metrics that we still use to recruit researchers and have a career, and the fact that on the other side, more and more, like for instance, in France now, CNRS includes outreach, of some form of outreach, as one of the missions of you being a researcher, as does the European Union, the European Community, in all the Horizon projects. However, then your peers, your to evolve in your career, that part it doesn't fit in the matrix yet. And so there is this mismatch. And as long as we don't mend it, there's not that much we can. I mean, things are getting better, but still there is a mismatch. Sorry, my 2 cents.
Thank you. Thank you. Dimitra, please.
Yes, I just want to say that I think that public outreach activities have increased during the last years. I'm many years at NOAA, and I do not remember that we have such activities in the past. People are more interested in this, but also the research institutes. If you see in their websites, there is always a chapter, which says not chapter, just a okay, let's say a chapter which says public outreach. We did not have this in the past, but now I don't know if we were obligated to do it or if uh, we want to increase the visibility also of our institute or our website. But there are so many public outreach activities described in our web pages. This was not the case some years ago. And I agree that some people say, why to lose time? I'm bored, or this is not very important for my CV, or my impact factor will not increase in strictly, the indicators, the research indicators. But actually, for me, when I am in a committee to decide about the promotion of a researcher, for instance, and I have to study to read the CV and make a decision, I always have in my mind, I think I take public outreach activities, they are very important, and I always see that very positively for the promotion of any researcher who is involved in such activities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dimitra. So it is very. Ioana, you have some comments. Would you like to share, or I can state them for you, if you prefer. So you say, with the state of the educational system and the world in general being as it is really important to have communicators to reach out to younger people and engage them to show them what science is really about. I think we all agree with that statement. So would anyone else like to comment on that? I think it is a very important topic. For example, when you have a call in order to get the position of researcher, I think that in most calls, and Dimitra, please correct me if I'm wrong, there is hardly ever a mention of them having experience in public outreach. And what you do is actually sort of an exception. Is that correct? In Greece, at least.
Sorry, Manolis, did you talk to me?
Yes. I'm saying
Yes,
that.
maybe it's an exception. I don't know. But there is this tendency lately. This was not some years ago. I can say that for sure. And also in our project plan, the next 5 years, we have created a project plan for our institute. And then we also we consider the public outreach activities very important for the development, the project, the planning of our institute for the next years.
I see. Thank you. So I think that this Thank you, Professor Sergiulas. Thank you. Bye-bye. I think this brings us to the last part, let's say, of our discussion, which will be brief. We have already exceeded 1 hour. So we will try to make it brief, but we want your input here as well. So the question is, how could a project like PICO, for example, like the one we are all working on here, support you better to do science communication in the future? Meaning that what would be the needs that a science communicator has? Training, for example, would you need some formal training that a project like PICO could provide? Would you need accreditation of some sort? What would help you become better, become more involved? What is your view on that?
I think training is important, and workshops like that, where we are gathering together and we're discussing our opinions or our views of science communication, is very important, because you see how a lot of scientists or students or professors are approaching this thing. So you can share, you can discuss, you can learn. But at the same time, if you have someone that is extremely experienced rather than his voluntary work on that, and tell you, okay, there is like some specific techniques that have been working, like he's doing it professionally in a level where he has gained an experience where he or she can know what works or not, and it can gives you some input on that. Or maybe you think that you're doing a great job and you're approaching people, but there is some skills that you can obtain that can make you even better, improve that, make it more enjoyable for you and for them, the public. So yes, I would say that training is very useful.
Thank you, Evie. So you believe, for example, that if there was an organized, structured, let's say, a science communication academy, whatever, which provided a training course for researchers who would like to be more actively involved in outreach, would that be useful?
That would be amazing. I would definitely join.
Okay, so would I, truth be told. What
We
do you
will
think?
create an academy for Evie.
Well,
Yes.
but I don't know, but this is if you all agree on that, then we might try it. Disa, what do you say?
Yeah, on that note, actually, I do have some of the colleagues in Ego Virgo who have been trained for, I think, their master's degree, if not 1 year diploma in CISA, where they exclusively have science communication as a course. So I don't know if there are ways in which we can collaborate with CISA to, share some of the knowledge, maybe even like few months of series of lectures from them. I'm sure they would be happy to share some knowledge, or at least we can check with the students who are already from that course if they can, make it, maybe make a presentation for us in one of these sessions.
Thank you, Disa. If you want, I could share a personal experience actually, because when I am about to communicate a topic which is on my research, for example, my master's was in high energy physics. I was doing QCD. Back then, so when I was asked to talk to students about CERN, I was overly enthusiastic, overly enthusiastic. So I created a PowerPoint of 85 slides or so because I wanted to tell them everything in 45 minutes. And the end was that they were happy because I was happy, but they didn't understand anything because I wanted to say everything. So I think it would be very important to take people, yes, who are enthusiastic about their topic and support them on how to communicate it effectively.
Exactly, very strategic methodologies if they follow. Because even in Virgo, when I talk to these people who have this formal training, I share some of the ideas out of enthusiasm, and they actually give their professional insights about, let's say, why would this approach on social media will not be productive and so on. So, yeah, it's extremely important to have these discussions.
You know, many times, Disha, when people come from a field of research in which they have great knowledge on the topic, um, they may consider that since I have the knowledge, it is easy to communicate it. And
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and maybe I don't know, Konstantinos, would you like to share what you write in speaking?
Yes, I was writing here that is necessary, is critically important for developing practical skills through hands-on training, focused, targeted design for extended range of ages, primary students, secondary, and also include university students. This is how we approach, especially in case of atmospheric science. And I think that is very important to connect the theory with hands-on training based on real-world datasets. I think this was one of the most feedbacks during the event, how we can use something that is real, not theory, and to go back in our home. For example, air quality is something that is very critical in our days, and I think this connection will be very nice as a future concept to design maybe a project. And this is something from my side.
Thank you. So you believe that the basis of good science communication, let's say, would be to provide people with real-world connections. Lisa, please.
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, Konstantinos made a very essential point, which I also observed regarding the environment and how people think. So, for example, at Ego Virgo, because it's situated in a farmland, basically in the middle of nowhere. So, I joined recently, but I was very curious to learn about how the facility was set up and how the locals reacted to something that is going to be on their land in terms of maybe environmental impact or employability or the overall connections between scientists and non-scientists in the area. So and since I work in sustainability for research, I was curious about this aspect too, if there are ways in which we can communicate how these facilities not only are enriching you with knowledge and technology, but also are in a way helping the locals to bring the town on the map in terms of maybe science tourism, or to have that pride that your city holds a very advanced scientific facility. And maybe just to go a bit on the tangent of sustainability, if we can also involve the aspect of environmental impact and sustainability by research and communicate also that with the locals, because sometimes they have these very curious questions about how this actually impacts the local environment, the flora, fauna, the ecology, and so on. Some of the students are maybe from that background, so they are also curious on these aspects. I don't know how we can design something around it, but just a food for thought for all of us, maybe to think about future sessions.
This I would like to share something on that.
Yeah.
Back in about 25 years ago, if I remember correct, there was a long baseline neutrino beam experiment taking place at Fermilab. They were building actually one of these. And long baseline means that you have the accelerator below the Earth, and you produce a neutrino beam which travels through the Earth for several hundreds of kilometers, and you have a far detector at another location which receives the neutrinos and measures their properties. So as they were building this experiment, there were many reactions by local citizens who believed that the neutrinos might affect their cows.
Yeah.
And this might sound funny, but it isn't actually, because it's part of the mission of the research institute to explain to the people. So they created a panel consisting of citizens and researchers in order to show them every step of the way, to explain them the physics, to provide them with added value, to show them, for example, that this work will have added value at the local level, and so on. So this could also expand on sustainability.
Yeah, definitely. Because now with the climate change and global warming being very important issues, I think more and more people are getting aware of it. And also in terms of data centers who impact a lot about the local environment, they work mostly on drinking water and so on. I don't know if people are already asking questions, but at least when I used to work in LIGO India before this job in India, people were really aware and asking questions about the upcoming LIGO India facility. That okay, you are going to just drain a lot of our river water, and then we will not have land to farm and so on. So science communication should actively tackle such problems, maybe.
If I go back to the academy that we were discussing, Alexandra had a very interesting input here. Alexandra, would you like would you like me to share it, or would you like to say it yourself?
Well, both are fine.
Please do, please do.
So basically, what I wrote is that we need training. Definitely, we do need training, but we also need real life experiences, because it's a different thing to learn something and a different thing applying it. So maybe we can discuss a lot of things here and be sure that, okay, I know how to apply it, but when you have people in front of you and you have to speak to them, it's not as simple as that, as I know I need to do that and that and that and that. So you need the experience. So we basically need more researcher nights, more things to do in order to engage with people and learn how to speak with them.
I understand, but this also goes hand in hand with some sort of accreditation, don't you think? Meaning that uh, imagine that PICO or another project started the science communication MOOC or an academy or whatever, which gave you 6 months of training in order to better your science communication skills. And so you will dedicate 6 months of your time in order to obtain these skills. And if it is in the framework of a project, you will also have the ground to do to test it at a real setting in researchers' night activities, for example. But since you invest that much time, don't you believe that this should go hand in hand with taking some sort of credit, not just a certificate, but also something that will have an impact on your career path?
I mean, it should have, but we know that where we are now, this is not what is happening. So we are basically doing it because we want to share, and maybe you could say for advertisement. Maybe you could add that to the equation, but right now we don't have that. And maybe if we add the certificate, we lose its soul. I don't know how to describe it exactly, because now when someone decides to do science communication, basically she wants to share, want to help people understand. If you add the certificate in it, maybe some people would just join, but not really share, not really help, just be there for the certificate. And that would actually make the jobs of those that want to share much, much harder. So there are pros and cons in taking a certificate for that specific type of thing, I think.
Well,
I agree. Yes, Eddie.
I have something to say in that. I think this goes with everything, that you can take a certificate, but if you don't apply it in real life, that does add a title in your CV or something, but does not add to experience. So And at the same time, I think that you can do communication science, of course, without having a title. And there are people that might want to be more specialized to communication science and they want to learn more things through that. So they would go through whatever master program, academia, or stuff like that. So I would say that it doesn't have to be, no one obligates you to have the title. You can do science communication in any case. But if you want the specialization together with your experience, it is good to it. It is good to have someone to tell you, okay, for example, I play tennis. But when I go for someone to teach me tennis, I see that I do some things completely not on the way that it's supposed to be done, but in the end it's effective. So I think it is optimal for things to go together. To have the experience, of course, I think it's one of the most important things. But at the same time, if you have the chance to have someone who specializes on that, which has an experience, to give you some more info how to improve aside from your personal experience, it's also useful, but I think it is for whoever wants to do that. So it's not mandatory, and I don't think it would. I understand what Alexandra says, that sometimes when we go through a forced education, it takes the joy out of it. But since it would be not mandatory, someone that wants to add to it, they can do it. And they don't have to, if someone doesn't want to, they don't have to take the joy out of them with putting them there. So I think it's like any kind of form of education. If it exists and it is there to be obtained from whoever is interested to specialize even more in the sense of a title of a class or something, why not to do it?
I agree. I agree with you, Abby. Let me say something, and maybe I will stop sharing. Actually, Julia could also give her 2 cents in this one. Um, I believe that as science progresses right now, and we're actually working in big science infrastructures, multi-country collaborations, and so on. This requires funding. This requires interaction with local society, and this requires interaction with funding agency, policy agencies, and so on and so forth. And therefore, you need to be able to talk to people. Therefore, outreach has also a strategic dimension, which goes beyond sharing knowledge for the sake of sharing knowledge, but also goes into sharing knowledge in order to advance the research, because only through that way will you get funded, more or less. So I believe that based on this assumption, if this assumption is correct, value, outreach should be valued and should be accredited, because in the future it will be needed in order to sustain research. I don't know if this is a correct approach, but Julia, maybe, and everyone, you could give me your view on that.
I think it is true. We can discuss whether this is the right path, whatever, of binding research only to, or only strongly to public appreciation, because it can, I mean, it does have risks, but like in the system that we are building, that's exactly correct. So to attract public funds, you need to have, because these are taxpayer money, you need to have support from society. And you can get support from society only by talking to people and kind of show them what you're doing I don't think it's a matter of convincing, it's a matter of trust. It goes way more emotionally than logically, I think. And this is a very personal point of view, but I think I got convinced over the years that it's way more important that people get to know you and they get to see how we do things and that we are very normal people that are part of the society rather than them understanding all the ins and outs of what you're doing. It's really a matter of trust because none of us will ever fully understand anybody else's research. I wouldn't fully understand research in biology or in medicine or in chemistry or whatever. And I don't need to, but I need to trust that the people that do it are working well. They are working on the basis of public interest. And so this is very crucial, I feel, about public outreach in science.
Trust in science, therefore, right?
Sorry?
Trust in science. Do you believe that trust in science is faith in?
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you. So, yes, very well said, indeed. So, I believe that if we are to conclude this meeting, we could say that in general, in our activity, these activities we did so far have an added value to everyone. For researchers, it was about sharing your research and also seeing how it works on your target audiences. And on your target audiences, it was to increase their interest in science so far. I understand also that as a general idea, you consider it important to continue efforts such as this, and maybe the Science Communication Academy would be something that would be very useful to you. So I think that this feedback is very important to us and would like to thank you for that. If you would like to have some last comments and so on, the floor is yours.
I would just want to thank you so much for the time and effort that you put in the organizing this. It is very helpful to communicate with each other, to share our opinion, to learn and see what works, what doesn't work, how we can improve our ideas that can be implied in the future. So yes, I would like to be organized more of them so we can participate. I find it very useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I see we don't have any other comments. Therefore, on behalf of PICO, we would like to thank you very much for the time you took to participate and support this initiative. And we will be having many, many more in the future. Thank you very much.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.